So we were reading about manual scavenging. So why do you think that the Safai Karamchari Andolan, they filed an PIL? So basically the answer is yeah, because these people who are forced, or because that's the only option for them, to do manual scavenging. They are exposed to subhuman conditions. No human should be exposed to such conditions of work. Like, it is a serious threat to their health issues. They are exposing their body, body parts, especially eyes, skin, respiratory, gastrointestinal system. Everything is exposed to the amount of much amount of infections, and does not even, if we compare it on balance, then does not even come on an equal level to what they are paid and how much exposure of infection they have. And it does not, they're just made to give like 30-40 per day rupees. And these are even less if they work for company. So what did the Supreme Court say? It said that if manual scavenging was found, then the government department has to actively take up time bound matlab they cannot take years. Time bound matlab it has to be, if it said that 1 year, it has to be done in 1 year. It shouldn't be extended for 10 years, and there's no thing only that's just a laid back response to it. It has to be a time bound matlab 1 month, 2 months, exact timing. Then a program for the liberation and rehabilitation has to be taken up. So we'll study about Adivasi demands in the 1918 Act. The central government passed the passed the Scheduled Tribes and other traditional forest dwellers recognition of forest rights. Forest rights have always been a very debatable topic, and this act of 2006, the introduction to the final act states that this act is a sorry where is meant to undo the historical injustice. Here we are talking about the historical injustice meted out to the forest dwelling population is not recognizing their rights to land and resources. This act recognizes their right to homestead, cultivable and grazing land, and to non-timber forest produce. The act also points out that the rights of forest dwellers include the conservation matlab to protect, to conserve it, the forest and of its biodiversity. So let's see. The 1918 Act is an important for another reason. Adivasis activists refer to it as defend their rights to occupy land that was traditionally there. Somebody that was always theirs has been taken away from them. As you read in the previous chapter, Adivasis are often unwilling to move to from their land and are forcibly displaced. The activists have asked those who have forcibly encroached upon tribal land should be punished under this law. They have also pointed to the fact that this act merely confirms what has already been promised to tribal people in the constitution, that land belonging to tribal people cannot be sold or bought by non-tribal people. In this case, where this has happened, the constitution guarantees the right of tribal people to repossess the land, and if this thing has ever happened, then the land can be repossessed by the tribal peoples. C.K. Janu, an Adivasi activist, has also pointed out that one of the violators of the constitutional rights guaranteed to tribal people are governments in the previous states of India. For it is that they who allow non-tribal encroachers in the form of timber merchants, paper mills, etc. to exploit their tribal land and to forcibly evict tribal people from their traditional forest in the process of declaring forest as reserved or as sanctuary. She has also noted that in cases where tribals have already been evicted, cannot go back to their lands, and they must be compensated. Here we are talking about being compensated. We've had a discussion on compensation in the previous classes. That is, the government must draw plans and policies, for them to live and work elsewhere. After all, the government spend large sums of money on building industrial and or other projects on land taken from tribal. So why should they be reluctant to spend even more modest amounts of rehabilitating the displaced? Okay. Conclusion. As we can see, the existence of a right or a law or even a policy on paper does not mean that it exists in reality. We've already we've already talked about that what is written or should also be practiced in its spirit. People have had to constantly work on or make efforts to translate these principles that guide the actions of their fellow citizens or even their leaders. The desire for equality, dignity and respect is not new. Everybody wants dignity, everybody wants respect, and wants to be treated equally like other people. It has existed in different forms throughout our history, as you've seen in this chapter. Similarly, even in a democratic society, similar processes of struggle, writings, negotiations, and organizing needs to be continued. So this whole this of idea of democratic society and the process of struggle, writing, negotiation, on organizing, to meet the fundamental rights which are enshrined in a constitution, they needs to keep on happening, because time and again people are forced um to not have their rights which have been given. List of fundamental rights in the constitution that Dalits can draw upon to insist that they are treated with dignity and as equals. Read the fundamental rights on page 14. So here we've talked about, right to be equality, on all the other rights, that the six rights, it is referring to that we spoke about, whether it's the cultural and educational right, or we are talking about the right to freedom of religion, right to against exploitation, and right to freedom. So when here we are talking about now ki reread the fundamental, so you can always give about the right against exploitation in the case of SCST. Okay, exploitation. You can always, when it's about SCST act, then you can always, or about how we draw it from the fundamental rights, and you can always write about right against exploitation and right to freedom, that everybody has to be treated equally and is equal below the in the eyes of law. We read the story of Ratnam as well as the provisions of the 1918 SCST act, tribals. Now list one reason why I think this law is used to file the complaint. Firstly, when we talking about SC/ST Act, so here is very important. We talk about the modes of humiliation, where where somebody is asked to force or drink or eat anything which is not edible or obnoxious substance. Okay, then if they are asked to remove their clothes, modes of how can you humiliate somebody? You can ask somebody to eat something, you can ask them to remove your clothes. And other thing that is here, that's the first thing. Okay, second is that actions that disposes, matlab makes them the resources that they have, they force them into performing slave labor, by either wrongfully occupying their land which can be cultivated or so that's how they do it. And again then the third is, you can do crimes against Dalit and tribal women, where you can assault or use force against any women, to with the intention to dishonor that person. So here we can say, of course, the modes of humiliation, one of the modes of humiliation they may is to bathe from the dirty water that's been used to clean the priest and everything. Some people can see it, that's the practice that's been going on. There's nothing to take it as a mode of humiliation, can be said. But whereas if we again talk about it, then we say that why not, it's a mode of humiliation. You're using somebody's dirty water to clean another person. Do you think it's not humiliating? Do you think it's right to do that? I don't think so. I think so it's so humiliating and so depressing, for the person who's actually gone through to do it, and who's done it. So yeah, we always in India and the places, all it has happened a lot of times that these all practices are seen in the name of religion, and the religion fact is very important, that they just put it so that and nobody can question it. Why do Adivasi activists including CK Jain believe that Adivasis can also use this 1918 act to fight against dispossession? Is there any specific possession? Yes. So right against possession, that wrongfully a lot of times we've seen that all these tribal lands have been taken away from them in the name of development, whether you are talking about mining, dams, of timber merchants or paper mills, and these all are non-tribal encroaches, and they're allowed in the name of development. The poems in the song in this unit allow you to see the range of ways in which individuals and communities express their opinions, their anger, and their sorrow. In the class, do the following exercise: bring to class a poem that discusses a social issue. Share this with your classmates. Work in small, two more poems. Discuss the meaning, and you can go. So we saw poems written by Kabir, which questions the idea of untouchability, the essence that who is pure, who's not pure, how do we see everything in this world involves touch. So how do you define it? So they question the whole idea of this touchability, untouchability, and gives it a new meaning. Okay, identify marginalized a community in your locality, write a poem, song, draw a portrait to express the feelings as a member of this community. You can do that if you have it in your neighborhood or anywhere. So we'll discuss the glossary. An assertive person is a group, is one that express themselves or give their views strongly. I say that if somebody's asking me to, if I'm in a class, for example, somebody one of the bullies in the class is asking me to do his or her homework, I'll say, I don't want to do. Why should I do your work? You are more capable. Sorry, not more capable. So you are also capable of doing your work. You should do it by yourself. I am not doing your work. So I'm saying that if somebody is asking me to do their work, I'm saying no. I'm being very assertive, very clear, crisp, that I'm not going to do your work. Confront is to come face to face or to challenge someone or something. In the context of this chapter, this refers to challenging their marginalization. So if somebody, confront is basically to come face to face and say that if somebody is blaming you, there's this rumor going on in the class that you've stolen a pen from somebody. So you confront everybody, you stand in the middle of the class and say, hello everyone, I've not done it. Who's blaming me? I'm hearing this thing, a rumor in the class that I've stolen a pen or this thing from money from this person's bag. This is not true. And you can confront, you coming face to face and challenging that thing. Dispossess, to possess is to own something, and to be dispossessed, to have to give up your ownership of, give the authority. If you have something, if I have a piece of land or something, but I'm being disposed of, but it's been taken away from me due to any reason, whether by the government or or just being taken like that, it's not new if you hear such case. So you are giving up your authority, your ownership over that thing. Ostracize is to mean exclude or banish an individual from a group. Ostracize is simply, to outcast, boycott. So simply see, a lot of times it happened that in a class, if something goes wrong with one person, so it happens that or that person has done wrong, then it often happens that the entire class boycotts or doesn't talk to that particular person. So morally reprehensible is, this refers to an act that violates all norms of decency and dignity, and thus that a society lives in. We've already discussed, that human mind is very, dangerous and is good at the same time. We are the only people who've built rockets, but we're also the same people who've done this human mind has done holocaust in the example in the Germany Holocaust. So this human mind, can violate all norms of decency and dignity that usually is in a society or a society believes in. It usually refers to hideous and repugnant act that goes against all values that a society has accepted. It is not new to hear that this person was treated like that, they were beaten up because they belong to certain community. It is not new to here in India. Policy is a stated course of action that provides direction. It is a direction, provides for the purpose, sets goals to be achieved, and lays out principles or guidelines to be followed and acted upon. In this chapter, we have referred to government policies, but other institutions like schools, companies, etc. also have policies. So here we are talking about that policy provides a direction, that how certain things should be done. and sets out goals which has to be achieved and other things. So we've done with this chapter, and yeah, we are two more chapters left to finish this book. If you guys have any doubt, please comment down or reach out to on me mail. Take care, be happy, and yeah, stay positive in life is not a one day thing. Things don't change overnight. You have to keep on striving to achieve something you wanted or want, all. So give in your best shot and study, but also enjoy the other aspects of life. Just don't keep on studying. There's so many small things that gives happiness. Try out those also. Okay, bye, take care.